Is it on?
Oh, all right.
Looks like you're good to go. All right, we are ready to begin.
He's here.
Yes, it is.
Welcome, Mr. Chiesa. You can't hear me, right?
I can hear you.
All right, then we will call this meeting of the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission Station Facilities Development Committee meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Thank you. Committee members Chiesa,
I'm here.
Vice Chair Craig Hensley. Here. Chair Zuber,
Here.
Hume. All right, we do have part.
All right, the next item is public comment. Do we have any public comment online?
Seeing none online.
Any in the room? Hearing none, thank you all. We'll move on. Consent calendar has one item, which are the minutes from the special meeting in July. Do you have any questions from the committee members? Any public comment on this item? Any want to withdraw it? Talk about it?
Seeing none.
And I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
All right, I'll second.
Thank you.
Do we need a roll call, right?
Yes, we do. Committee members Chiesa,
Hi.
Vice Chair Craig Hensley.
Aye.
Chair Zuber.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Item 4 is to adopt a resolution approving amendment 3 to the RSE Corporation Agreement for Professional Services for the Newark Albert Siding Connection Project, increasing the compensation by $999,848. So you're on.
Great, thank you. Okay, I practiced. Okay, the Newark Galbraith project, siding project is approximately 2 miles of track work with a bridge and at-grade crossings. And this project is in Alameda County. It's part of our Valley Rail Phase 1 and one of our priority projects. So the Rail Commission entered into an agreement with RSE, final design and plan specifications and estimate of PS&E services in October of 2022. And since then, the contract's been amended twice, once in March of 2025, another in January of 2026. So Amendment 3 will continue the final design services with RSE and mainly to revise the track alignment to provide that 20-foot spacing that's now required between tracks, embankment widening, grading and subgrade and ballast work, along with construction staging requirements and required modeling and analysis in relation to line N, which is where the bridge is, for hydraulic and hydrologic analyses. And this is related to the HEC-RAS modeling that's required for river streams and constructed channels. It's an application with US Army that models the existing conditions, future conditions in a waterway, and it simulates the water flow for both seasonal, different conditions when you add a bridge, or if you're going to do some construction in the area. And then also it looks at it from a 1D, 2D, or even a combined. It's fairly complex analysis that's required as part of the work for the bridge design for this location. And then we also have some expanded service support and services for our permitting now with our regulatory agencies, but also with now the Bay Conservation and Development Commission, or BCDC, and the San Francisco Bay Regional Water Quality Control Board. And I will hand it to Paula for the procurement.
Thank you, Christine. So Amendment 3 was handled in accordance with the Rail Commission's procurement manual, and staff have confirmed that the amendment is fair, reasonable, and in line with the scope of work. As stated in the item name, we're gonna add about $999,000 to the agreement for a new not to exceed of a little over $2.7 million. Amendment 3 will be effective upon execution by both parties and until the edge of the end of the project. So this funding is coming from SRA, and it is in the budget line item for the Newark Albury siting connection. And the new not to exceed amount is the $2.7 million for the agreement overall. And with that, staff recommends approving this amendment with RSC, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any idea when the actual construction gets to start?
Yes, and this one, like that, the other. So we are looking at construction in Newark starting in the winter of 27-28. So we need to finish the design, get into bid phase, which we're looking at fall of 27, and then starting construction after that.
So a year.
About a year. We've got a little bit more design left with that bridge and then also with that track work. And so that's the lead activities right now. But we are on track to hit both of those, the bid date, the bid timing and the construction time. So this really helps.
I'll just add from a funding standpoint, this project is the one project within phase one where we still need to identify funding for. We have a pending TRCP grant for the amount we need to fund the project. We actually should hear about that grant in the next month. And so if successful, you know, full steam ahead. If that grant application is unsuccessful, then we would pivot to other grant opportunities and look for other funding. I hate to say 28 million is not a big number, but in the scope of the whole program, we're confident we can find the funding needed for Newark Albury to keep us on track for our service opening in 2030.
All right.
Just, I've got to follow up on timeline of the environmental review. Have we gone through working with these two agencies before that we're confident that in completing that environmental review, we won't have any problems with it being accepted?
We've already actually environmentally cleared this, but we do have to do a reevaluation or evaluation with them.
Yeah, circling back around, so we shouldn't have.
We shouldn't have to.
Oh, gosh, something.
Any other questions? Do you have any public comment online?
Seeing none online.
Any in the room? If there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Committee members Chiesa,
Aye.
Vice Chair Craig Hensley,
Hi.
Chair Zuber.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, item 5 is to adopt a resolution approving the reimbursement agreement for Cogent Fiber LLC in the amount of $1 million plus for preliminary engineering relocation services related to the Elk Grove Station project. You're back on.
Thank you. So the Elk Grove Station project is our main line. We have both main line and siding track and the center loaded platform with a new center loaded platform with a pedestrian overcrossing, and then some surface parking in the project. So we are working with Cogent Fiber LLC, which was formerly known as Sprint. I think you probably know it more as Sprint. They maintain a fiber optic facility within the limits of this project. It runs actually parallel down the one on each side of the existing tracks in the Elk Grove Station area. So as we put in the center platform, the second track, the one of these is going to be in conflict with our project. So it is planned to be relocated so that both of these facilities are on the east side of the to be configured track. What this work will consist of is that it's the design and the relocation, but we're going to need new ducts. We're going to have to trench it new ducts, 9 access vaults so they can actually access the cable, pull the new cable, and it's approximately almost 10,000 feet of new fiber optic cable. And then they will cut it in at the ends of the project limits. We'll abandon the existing cable. And this is part of the project to relocate all the utilities out of the area where we are actually doing the construction work for the station. Okay, and we have been collaborating with Cogent to establish both the terms and the conditions of this reimbursement agreement. Again, it's going to include both the plan and the design and later relocate prior to construction, so that when we're ready to construct, this utility is not one of the things that becomes in our way. And the approach for this agreement is the same that we've used with other utility agreements on our other projects. With that, I'm going to give it to us.
Thank you again. So this is a sole source contract under section 7.1 of the procurement manual. That is where sources of supply, there's other sources of supply because of financial, schedule, performance, and other factors. There's only a single source of supply and it's immune from competition. This agreement qualifies as sole source because it is effective from, it has immunity from effective competition. Cogent is the owner of the facilities, so they require their own workforce to do the work, so we cannot bid this project out. Procurement and contract staff and the director of capital programs have confirmed that it is a sole source and the budgeted funds are available and legal counsel has been consulted. Funding for this project and this contract is coming from TRSA. And it's part of the Elk Grove Station budget line in the capital budget, and the agreement amount is a little over $1 million to relocate. And staff recommends approving this agreement with Cogent for Elk Grove, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
So the $1 million the result will be that it will be moved. This is the
Yes.
cost of actually getting it out of the way.
Yes.
Okay. I lose track sometimes okay for planning, sometimes okay. This. Any other questions from committee members? Any public comment?
Seeing none online.
Any public comment in the room? I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, committee members Chiesa,
Aye.
Vice Chair Craig Hensley,
Aye.
Chair Zuber.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passes.
All right, thank you. Item 6, Valley Rail Program, phasing and related project actions.
Great, thank you.
You do that?
I will be presenting this item. Yeah, and this item is information item only. The phasing and related actions are a culmination and description of staff actions, the actions that staff is taking based on prior committee approval and prior approval from the Rail Commission and from the JPA. So as the committee will recall, this has been our year in review. We started in January with information around the decision to focus the program on the projects of the north and to pursue a phasing approach to the program. We've conducted a lot of stakeholder outreach to share that approach with our community stakeholders. The approach itself was approved by this committee, by the Rail Commission full board, and by the JPA. And so what you're seeing today is the administrative actions that are following those approvals. And so we wanted just for the committee to be aware of what that phasing looks like, and what we're doing in terms of administrative steps to enact what the commission, the direction the commission has provided, and the committee has provided to this point. As you see there in that last bullet, our continuing activities are the negotiations with the host railroads and with the state. As noted in the previous meeting, I'm very pleased to report our reallocation plan for the funding for the phase 1 projects was before the California Transportation Commission today, actually yesterday and today. And the basic reallocation of the funds to the projects on the north was successful yesterday. Today's items include the timing and phasing of that allocation. We expect that will go smoothly. And what that means is we've talked about fully funding the phase 1 projects. And that action today, based on the coordination with CalSTA, Caltrans, and the CTC, means that those projects that we've talked about in phase one of being fully funded will be fully funded, clearing the path for execution. The one exception to that will be, is the Newark Galbraith that I noted earlier, which we have the active TRCP grant for. So with that funding piece, we would be fully funded for phase one. So that's a great milestone for the program and clears the path for us to begin execution. You'll hear an update in a later item of where we are in milestones. We're making some really good progress on those milestones. And as I shared with the committee chair earlier today, just another bite out of that. We're making those bites, and pretty soon we will digest the whole thing, maybe one bite at a time. The action today from the CTC was a big bite, so we're very glad to have gotten through that. But we did want to take you through the phasing elements that we'd be doing. So next slide, please. As the committee knows, we've broken the project up into phases. The goal is to really focus the program on executable chunks of delivery. So phase one, what I just talked about, will provide for us enhancements to the Gold Runner service, specifically 2 new stations in Oakley and Madera, and then the extension of the ACE service to Sacramento, so new service starting in Natomas all the way through San Jose. So it will be extending the ACE line all the way to the Sacramento area, and the expansion of service. So that phase one also includes going from 4 round trips a day to 5 round trips a day for the core ACE service. So 3 really significant expansions of service and service capacity for both Gold Runner and ACE. And then phase 2 will be an expansion of Gold Runner service and an extension of ACE service to Stanislaus. So that's what we're focused on in phase 2. So we'll take you through what that means for the projects in phase 1 and phase 2 and the other projects in the overall Valley Rail program. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Just as a note for the committee, in our October meeting, we will bring forward what the service planning options in phase 2 look like. So what does that service plan and what are the opportunities for ACE and Gold Runner expansion in phase 2? We want to get some committee input on those service plans. Let you know what we're thinking on those. And so in your October meeting will be an opportunity for us to look at, okay, what does that service actually look like in phase 2? That will be in phase 2 project. So that's to come. Today we're just talking about the phasing overall for the whole Valley Road program. So next slide, please. So I won't go into depth on this, but this is what phase 1 is accomplishing. And really our strategy all along has been to, we want to demonstrate success, demonstrate traction for the projects, and really start getting into construction. And you'll hear in the updates today that we're actually doing that. But ultimately, this is about starting service. And so phase 1 is really about how do we get to those service expansions and extensions that I talked about in the previous slide. And so what you'll see in phase 1 is what's necessary to do that. And with this week's action by the CTC, pleased to say we have a really solid funding basis for achieving these things. So next slide, please. And I won't go into depth, but these are, you can see, kind of can't see, but the small triangles are the projects on the map of what is in phase 1. And these are the ACE deliveries. So these are the new stations and track projects that are part of phase 1 for ACE. Next slide, please. And then these are the new projects, new stations and track projects that are part of phase 1 for Gold Runner. You see primarily the Madera and Oakley's new stations on the slide area and the related benefits. Next slide, please. So these are the full basket of projects included in project 1. And we in your staff report, you saw that we created a status, so we were very clear about where we are with each of the projects. And so when we say active status for both phase 1 and phase 2, that means we are actively working on those projects. That activity can range everything from doing, an environmental study, doing design, all the way through construction and all the other things. So there is a range of what that activity means on each of these projects. But essentially what that active means is these are projects that we are currently actively working on. And importantly, and what you'll see in the administrative steps, have active contracts on. So we are expending funds against these projects to keep them moving. So these are the phase 1 projects, and I think you're pretty familiar with this list. But, next slide, please. So these are the phase 2 projects that we are actively working on. And again, that activity ranges from we're trying to pursue a grant to fully fund it, it could mean a lot of things, but these are the phase 2 projects that we are actively working on. And as I noted, we'll be back in October to talk about the service options given these groups of projects. Next slide, please. So part of the focus and progress that was the direction of the committee and of both the JPA and the Rail Commission was really to make sure we were aligning our resources and our staff time and our energies towards those first 2 groups of projects. That necessitates that, focus isn't just a mental state for us. It also means taking some administrative steps to focus the resource in the right way. You saw that with the reallocation of funding that I talked about earlier. But that also means for the remainder of projects that are within Valley Rail, that we take steps to not expend resources for funding that can go to the active projects. So that means we will be looking at the contracts, the consultants that are on those projects, and the various things that are happening on them, so that any necessary steps, either moving funding, canceling a contract, whatever it means to not pursue these projects, those are the steps we're taking internally staff. Those don't require approval of the committee or approval of boards, because we have the prior direction, but we do want you to be aware that we are taking those steps. The one thing that this does not mean, it does not mean that the projects you'll see in the future phase, it does not mean those projects are not a part of Valley Rail. They are very much still a part of Valley Rail. It just means we're not spending staff time or consultant money on those projects at this time. Next slide, please. So this is the list of the projects that are in what I just described as the future phase. So again, these projects will be taking administrative steps necessary to move these projects to the future phase. I'll give you a second to pause on it just because it's the long list. Okay. Next slide, please. So again, this doesn't mean that those projects are not a part of Valley Rail. They are still very much part of Valley Rail. They will be included in future planning analysis. So for Supervisor Chiesa, the commission in its prior meeting approved a planning contract for us that will help us do service planning for the corridor. The projects on the future phase will be a part of that service planning. So we'll look at ridership, look at the stations. All of that still remains part of our future plans. Essentially, what this means is we're taking administrative steps not to spend agency resources, time, or consultant effort on the projects. Okay. Next slide. There are 2 mega projects that we are moving to on hold or not moving forward with. The committee will call back last October. It made an action regarding Stockton Diamond, and so as the committee knows, that project was on hold based on the action of last October. We are continuing to work collaboratively with the state to identify a construction delivery partner. So that work's ongoing. Christine's working on that actively to move Stockton Diamond forward through a delivery partner. So in that way, it's still active, but in terms of our work here internally, it is on hold. And then what is called the Mitzi project, based on the latest business plan from the high-speed rail program that they published this year. The Mitzi project as currently designed is no longer required based on the changes, and so we're not actively moving forward on that project this time. Okay, next one, please. There is no fiscal impact. This was just for board committee information only. No action required. And with that, any questions?
I have one question. The Stockton Diamond, I mean, for a while that was the project we were talking about. And as important as it was described to be, is there reasonable expectation that it's going to move forward, or is it pretty well put off in a corner someplace?
Not put off in a corner. I think the path there is it's a mega project, and we need others to come to help get it done. It's still very much needed, so not Again, not a back away from that project, but just a recognition that it's gonna require, bigger hands to lift it.
Does the state recognize that?
They do, and we've been in
It
that.
seems like it's shifted to them.
Yeah, no, they do, and we're actively talking with them about what that looks like. The discussions are with senior folks at Caltrans about how we move that project forward. It's still very much important to the host railroads and for the long-term service delivery that we put forward at Valley Rail. So, not something we're walking away from, but it's still a little different.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from committee members?
Yeah, I just have one follow-up, since a number of us on rail commission are also on COG. When we're looking at One Voice projects, how are we coordinating with the municipalities and which will benefit from these? Because I think if we're going together saying this is a high priority, whether it's rail commission saying that members or community, it's nice to have that one voice so that we're not competing against other transportation related projects they want done. Have we thought about that or had those conversations?
Yeah, very much so, and I actually think that is one of the benefits of this approach is that we're now going to be very clear on the group of projects that are priority projects. We know what's funded, we know the next set that needs funding, and so that helps considerably with that. And in fact, the One Voice call project is out right now, and so we are doing that work right now to define and select the project that will move forward with that. We'll be in DC in September with the Valley Voice group, so similar to the One Voice, but with the group in Stanislaus. So our projects, these projects will be part of that conversation as well. So that's definitely part of the program. And the phasing approach that the committee has improved really gives us that focus and lets us hone in on particular projects for those guys.
Yeah, I think I heard that One Voice is in April.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Chiesa?
No,
No. Any questions, public comment?
seeing none online.
Any in the room? All right. This is the information item. Thank you. Very informative. Glad it was made. Item 7 is a Valley Rail Program work stream update. You doing that one too?
I am. With David on the CTC, I do all the presentations, so. So our work stream updates, next slide please. So as we've shared with the committee, we're gonna come each meeting with an update on the various work streams of Valley Rail, so that's what this item covers. Here are the work streams, and we'll walk through quickly each one of these. Next item, please. So from a program management standpoint, a lot of the work has been focused on the phasing approach that you just saw. So that's where a bulk of the work of the program management effort has been guided. And also we've made and this is an item that I just want to note particularly for the chair and vice chair. We've made considerable progress agency-wide in terms of program management. So now the entire Valley Rail program, along with the agency strategic initiatives, are now managed through a really robust project management software and process. So I give a shout out to Megan in the front row there. Megan's been leading that effort. And we walked through each of the items, each of the deliverables, each of the milestones each week, both on Valley, but also with the strategic initiative. So this program management piece isn't as glamorous as some of the other stuff, but it's really important for our delivery of the overall program. So I just wanted to note that before we move to the next item, which is service plan. And I want to do that.
Thank you. So I'm providing updates for the service plan on behalf of Dan, who can't be here today, so hope you like my rendition. Oh, there's a lot of hand gesture. So there are 4 subtasks under his work stream, and I have updates on throughway bus study and coordination with High Speed Rail Authority and Gold Runner and ACE service planning studies. So for the throughway bus study, we originally intended to complete the throughway bus study in September. But we still need to really review data that was provided by Amtrak, and then we are continuing to refine the recommendations for each route. So how we can optimize each route to get more ridership and revenue. And so that work is taking a little bit longer than originally anticipated. So the study will continue probably until November, and then we are hoping to provide the report in November at the JPA board meeting. For the coordination with High Speed Rail Authority, we are working with them to finalize two agreements. One is a lease agreement and the other one is a reimbursement agreement for fire marshal. So we are getting really close to finalizing both of them for execution and signature. As for the Golden Runner and ACE planning studies, just in the prior Rail Commission board meeting, we received approval to execute the on-call planning consulting support contract for ACE. So we should be able to start kicking off the planning studies as early as this fall. And as for Golden Runner, we have a planning workshop with the Caltrans next week. And so we will be looking at the service planning efforts for Golden Runner service together with Caltrans, and then we will kick off the planning study for that shortly after that meeting as well. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Christine to provide updates for capital delivery.
Great, thank you. So I'm gonna start with the Oakley station project, and the Oakley station project has officially moved into the bid phase of the delivery. And this is really exciting from a project delivery, program delivery sense, because this is the step before construction. And so they BN released their invitation for bids on July 20th, and bids are now due in next week. That would be August 28th. So that is keeping us on schedule now for constructions starting this fall. We're looking forward to hearing again on their contractor, their awarded contractor, and the arrangements to start construction. So let's move on to our phase 1 projects. So for Midtown, we are working very closely with UPRR on the CNM agreement. And we also executed the water line agreement with the city of Sacramento and with UP. This is one of the ones we have to also relocate. And so all of this is keeping us on track for a bid release, completing the design and the bid release this fall. So Midtown upcoming. Del Paso siding, we are continuing with the construction specifications. We've also initiated discussions with UP on the CNM agreement for this project also, as we start finishing up the design and preparing for that bid phase. For Elk Grove, we are looking at revisions to both the station and the track for the 100% plan set, and this would be final approvals. We're also continuing the work on the construction sequencing and how this is going to work with Phillips siding. And then of course and thank you for the amendment earlier on the cogent. That's going to help us with the utility relocations for this project too. For Newark Albury, the previous amendment that was approved is going to help us move forward with the 90% track design and also the 60% bridge design and the discussions with the regulatory agencies. For Gentonas, we're planning for the field investigations and the utility potholing that's needed near Elkhorn Boulevards are at-grade crossing, and we need to determine where the utility is. So as we make improvements or modifications to that crossing, we know we don't ask them. We know where the utility is. We're also continuing with the parcel acquisitions and the relocating of the commercial tenants. And then for Phillips, we are continuing work on a mitigation monitoring and reporting plan related to environmental. So CP Link to Escalon is about 95% complete in construction. And we are looking to have that wrap up in the next month or so. This is a BN project, and so we're gonna be happy to see this one complete and then check it on construction complete. Oakley, we just talked about that one. We're on track for construction starting this fall. And then for Madera Station, we have been doing regular check-ins with High Speed Rail and continuous dialogue on the lease agreement and the reimbursement agreement for the state fire marshal work. And so those two agreements are the starting point to begin that state fire marshal review that's required as part of the design. And then we'll lead into the construction maintenance agreement with BN and finishing up getting all the plans completely approved. So our bid schedule now is winter of 2026, early into 27, with construction starting next year and then completion the following year. And with that, I'll hand it over to Mo.
Thank you, Christine. So my funding strategy work stream has 3 categories: fully fund the phase 1 projects, pursue grants for capital project in next phase, and secure operating funds for initial ACE service. And I have updates for all of them. Under the first category, to fully fund the phase 1 projects, I know you are hearing about this for the 3rd time today. But I would like to continue to celebrate. We're able to get approval from CTC on the reallocation plan. And so we can officially say that most of our Valley Rail phase 1 project, except for the Newark Outlay, is fully funded. And then, as Chris mentioned earlier, the Newark Outlay, we applied for the TIRCIP Cycle 8 grant back in May, and the award announcement is anticipated for no later than September 18th this year. For first name grants for capital projects, I have 2 updates. One is not so great news, but we were notified last week that we were not selected for the Fed State Partnership Award. But the good news is, as Ryan from SJCOG mentioned earlier, SJCOG will be coming out for call for projects for several opportunities, and so we will be applying for those. For securing operating funding, we are continuing our coordination with SJCOG for their I-205 managed lane projects. Unfortunately, the Citizens Initiative for Sacramento Sales Tax Measure will not be on November's ballot, but SB 63 Connect the Bay Area will likely pass, and so we are continuing our coordination with BTA, Alameda CTC, and NTC to discuss potential funding opportunities and partnership. My team, the planning grants and programming team, is working with the Marcus's team to develop a robust funding strategy for both Bay Area and Sacramento, which identifies key partnership and communication plans. We actually visited key staff at BTA yesterday to strengthen our partnership. We also have a new partnership opportunity with SMUD and a few other community-based organizations in Sacramento to apply for the state grant for the transformative climate communities. We are including our request for $4 million for Valley Rail Corporation as a part of the CARES project application led by SMUD, which envisions a rejuvenated community powered by clean, resilient energy, connected by safe streets and transit, pulled by an expanded urban forest, anchored by community serving health and resilience centers, and sustained by local clean energy careers.
Is that the grant name?
This is the application description, smart is using.
Sure.
Yes. The application is due at the end of September. So with that, I will hand it back over to Chris.
Great, thanks, Mo. On the host railroad strategy, we continue. I was gonna say bi-weekly meetings, but we actually are talking with the host nearly every day. Christine mentioned a number of the CNM agreements we're actively working on with them. David is meeting bi-weekly with directly with UP and I. We're both participating in those meetings to talk about the overall program and to confirm a lot of the details that we've been presenting today. Those discussions are ongoing, and I can say from those discussions, the focus that the committee has provided us has really helped with Union Pacific. They have expressed that us grouping the projects and focusing on them helps them focus their internal resources and get us answers quicker. So we're making progress with the host railroads, so that's good news. And then with BN, they're actively engaged on the Gold Runner Station projects that hopefully that we talked about and the others. So really good interaction there. They're complicated relationships, but they're robust. So continuing. Next slide. The work on the operational plan continues as well. This is really preparing for the extension of service and for the fifth round trip. So that's been a major focus. So we're talking today about how we serve the customers in 2031. So that work is ongoing. A big portion of that is an effort to develop and secure memorandums of understanding with our new station jurisdictions. So this is a really important step in the operations of the facilities themselves. That's the next slide, please. And this is really about how we interact with local communities, both in the pre-construction, construction, and then operation of the facilities. So this is the nuts and bolts of how we'll actually run our stations and other facilities. So how's security managed? How's landscaping done? What are the, where can we work with the city on various components of the operations? And so what the approach is here is we have we're calling it a menu selection that we're going with to each jurisdiction and saying, okay, what is it that your community needs? And how can we work through a memorandum of understanding with Rail Commission to deliver what we can deliver, leverage what you can deliver, and really have good outcomes so those stations and facilities are well managed in collaboration with the local communities. So that's what the memorandum of understanding process is about. Okay, next slide, please. Marcus is going to talk about communication plan.
Now, I will do my best to Dell increased impersonation. Admittedly, I don't have the hair for it. I think that some of the items that were raised in our meeting at the Rail Commission board meeting, we can address some of that here, which is great. We do have an updated map that now integrates the high-speed rail integration, so we really get to see the full picture and lifespan of the Valley Rail program. I do, playfully say Valley Rail forever, but Dan slaps my hand whenever I try to say that. He says, "No, we have defined dates and milestones." We also have completed a Valley Rail one-pager. This is really to help us digest a lot of the information, and so I think this was a request that Chair Hensley, you've asked for a number of months now, and so we finally have been able through this process to come up with something that is easily digestible, acknowledges where we're at, for the first phase delivery, but also has some customization depending on the audience. So you can look forward to seeing that. We also have in development some one-pagers for Midtown and Oakley stations. So again, the communities can start to understand exactly what the work entails and how, what their impact could be, but also what the benefits are for these new projects and stations. From the website perspective, the capital programs page is now live. And so what that looks like, it links from the SJRC homepage. And so we can talk about all of our capital projects, not just Valley Rail, but every single capital project will live there. Currently, we have the Midtown Station project page live as well. We did a review of the wireframe in a prior meeting, but now you can actually kind of go in there and play around with it. So that is live. Launching soon will be the Oakley Station page. And then in development right now, we are working on the Valley Rail page, and so. Right now, what you look at with the Valley Rail page has been the old one that you've seen for, a number of years now. We are taking a different approach with it to make sure that it matches what the program is today and how we can talk about our phases and ensure that the community understand what's actually happening and when. And then we are also going to be rolling out the different project pages for each of the projects. And so you're going to see the priority as they roll out, but Madera relocation and then Del Paso phase 1A. From there, we've also been doing some stakeholder outreach, so working with the cities of Oakley and Sacramento, engaging with East Contra Costa County. The goal is to make sure that we have active engagement and participation and collaboration when it comes to groundbreaking events, ribbon cuttings, making sure that, when it comes to our funders, making sure they are engaged and know in advance what's happening, and of course, the community at large. From an events perspective, again, Oakley groundbreaking, we have that slated around November. We're just working through the dates that will work with the city. And then from a visual perspective, we are working on getting some updated renderings that match, what the stations are looking like today. So we've already kind of started that process, which you saw with the sliders for Oakley Station previously. And then we're also working on scheduling out some drone captures as well. Because we want to be able to track this over time. We want to be able to look back at the story and see what we've been able to accomplish. And with that, I will hand it back over to Chris.
Can I just ask, the one pages, when is that going to be available?
We will send those over to you today.
Okay, that was a lot, but we'll take questions at this time. No, this scoring package.
Any questions, comments from the committee? I just thank you.
Great.
It was very,
Very helpful.
very informative. Helps me get a pretty good grasp of what's going on in Overhead.
It is a lot, as you see. There's
Yes, it
a lot of
is.
activities.
Yes, it is.
Try and sum it up. You notice we've all increased the rate at which we speak. That's because we're trying to get on.
I will say that you managed to keep things moving forward rather than looking back.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that too.
Can I give one comment? Oh,
Yeah.
remember comments? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, one thing I wanted to note, and I don't know how relative this is, but for example, Wednesday night, our city council approved new security measures for our parking garage, which serves the Gold Runner. And so those are things occasionally I was thinking about, the benefits and the whole concept of it is a safe place to park, people park their cars there. They may go to Sacramento, stay the night, come back, whatever. Now that we have midday service. And so I am curious sometimes how that tracks, council actions that go on that may impact passengers, or whether it's for ACE or for Gold Runner. Do you track that in some way, or how do you, because I was thinking proactively about it when we were actually doing the approval, and I wasn't thinking any negatives because it's still free parking and all of that, but I do wonder how we find ourselves sometimes impacted, or our passengers impacted by council action.
Yeah, no, we do track that, and Marcus is kind of described, so I can go, but I'll also just note that that is the type of thing that we're working through with this memorandum of understanding that I described, so that we would bat that out ahead of time, so those types of actions would be thought through with the newer stations, but on existing stuff, we do track that.
Yeah, I think that kind of looking forward, we have our lessons learned to be able to prepare for new stations. And then even for our existing stations, working much closer with the cities. So that way we have those existing relationships and we feel like, there's a regular cadence for checking. And so there may be times where we just kind of pop into different cities to kind of find out exactly how things are going. And also we've been able to really establish a rapport where they're reaching out to us proactively. So, whenever there's anything big happening, for example, Levi Stadium, there's going to be some projects that are happening next week. And so that's going to affect some of the parking.
Yeah.
The shuttles won't have to be rerouted or anything, but some of our passengers have cars down there. So we have to get that communication out. So it's case by case, but we definitely try to work with the stakeholders to make sure that we can stay in the know and we can share that information out to passengers.
One other thing I would note for just the committee's awareness, that security concern and that security work doesn't necessarily absolutely doesn't start when the station opens. It actually starts way before that. We're doing a lot of that work now. Because we actually own properties and are responsible for those properties. And so that means we're not only doing safety and security on the properties that we control, but we're also doing maintenance on those properties. So when we talk about the funding and the operational impacts of Valley Rail, even though the service is still 5 years out, those impacts are starting now because of construction projects, the properties we own, security maintenance related with this property. So just something for the committee to be aware of that work is present and ongoing.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the committee? Any public comment?
Seeing none online.
Any in the room? All right, thank you. Very informative, much appreciated. Item 8, committee member comments. Anybody have anything they haven't said already?
Seeing none.
Hearing none. Then we will adjourn this meeting until sometime.
October 2nd.
October what?
October 2nd at 10.
That's when it is? Okay.
All right.
Thank you all.
Spoken. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.